What is up, Mythguardians? LeapDaniel here. I wanted to show off a new deck idea I had. I've been really interested in the Coliseum of Strife path. I think it's really powerful. And an old card, which actually got nerfed because it was so powerful, Shadhavar Beast, I think works really well with this path. It makes your enemy minions fragile and reduces their attack, so you can make trades and survive that you wouldn't previously survive. So I wanted to try and incorporate Shadhavar Beast, and I think purple also works really well with the path, as you've seen in previous decks of mine, like my budget deck, my budget mono purple deck. A lot of purple cards also synergize really well with the fragility effect from Shadhavar Beast. Like the main one that came to my mind was Merciless Koshinga. Merciless Koshinga generates a Born in Cruelty spell, which can deal all but one health damage to a minion. So if a minion is fragile, then you can immediately just eliminate it. Knives in the Dark also gets boosted by fragility, so putting Knives in the Dark on Shadhavar Beast gives it Lurker, which it had before it got nerfed, and lets it deal 3 damage instead of 2, because everything that it's threatening already has Fragile. We also got new Fragile tools for Orange in Trickster. So I'm running 2 copies of those. It's got good on-curve stats, and it turns minions fragile. And I'm also running Misfortune, which we can repeatedly get back to our hand after turning minions fragile. We've got the 4 Racer in Shadows and 9-Tailed Vixen, the Shinobi of Smoke, lots of ways to really take advantage of our opponent being fragile. And Jozeri Arquebus also is another great one that Orange just got in Rings of Immortality that leaves behind Parsa Divinity Cannon, which is really great for shooting fragile minions down as well. So I think this deck is really fun. It takes advantage of some new synergies that have emerged in Rings of Immortality, and I wanted to show you a couple games with it. So up first we have a game with Kitsune. I start out with a lot of orange in my hand. But I do curve out nicely at least, so that's pretty good. He blocks me. And I don't trade because I think I can get a better trade with Trickster. Of course, he's expecting that, so he doesn't trade either. But then on turn 3, you see the use of Shadhavar Beast here. I reduce his attack, and my minion survives. And now if he wants to attack with Leshy Green, then it'll be an even trade, which he does. So I'm proccing my Coliseum of Strife all over the place. He shoots me with his Divinity Cannon and gets the Triennial Patrol up. I use Deadly to get rid of that cannon, and I move the Arquebus to a more advantageous spot. He still manages to clear everything, on that side anyway. I burn Gloombringer. Gloombringer, I don't know if it performed so well in this deck. I did keep it in, but this deck isn't like full of spirits, so sometimes you whiff. But I give my Eidolon both life tap and armor and regen, so it's pretty scary for him right now. He plays this big Slayer thing, Kushiel, and I think I give it Misfortune. Yeah, so it has Fragile 3 now, and he won't quite die by trading with my minions, but he'll be very close. He'll be on the verge of death. So that's a lot better than you'd get with those little tokens normally. He defends with Baba Yaga's Den. And here, my Colossus finishes off his Kushiel and gives me back Misfortune. And now he's got a big old Iku torso. And I get lucky with Gloombringer actually and pull a Racer. And then Misfortune helps me deal 6 there and 5 there. and clear Iku Torso. So Misfortune putting in work here. That's, I guess, one of the strengths of Gloombringer. It can pull mythic spirit cards like that. Although it didn't in this game. It just pulled Racer. And then he surrenders because he doesn't have anything to answer my big guys. So I thought that was pretty good. A pretty nice match against a champion. And here's a second match against Arrowbear. So he's playing yellow-green. So he's going to be controlling me pretty hard. Looks like he's getting Necromantic online. Yeah, there it is. So I have a choice. I can either get out of the way. It looks like I chose to advance my board. And he sacrifices it. He doesn't even bother attacking with it. So now he's got Shiomara. But I think here I use Dark Passenger, so that's pretty nice, getting rid of a big boss monster like that. So on the bottom of his boneyard, he still has Necromantic. So that's a little annoying to go serial Necromantic, but Contagionoma is not a huge boss. So my thought is, if I can get that to be the next thing on his boneyard, then the threat from all Necromantics is much lower. But I don't have many tools to kill him this turn. So I just play Koshinga and put it in threatening range. And here I have Born in Cruelty. So I'm starting to rack up these Born in Cruelties, but I don't have a fragile thing to use with it, so I just reduces Miasma Catalyst down. And he reduces my Eidolon's attack, so it's not threatening anymore, but I use Knives in Darkness to still keep it threatening. And now Necromantic, still giving him a considerable amount of value, even though all it's doing is bringing back Contagionoma. It's just a lot of bodies to get through. I use Born in Cruelty again. Even without Fragile, it just synergizes with Knives in the Dark. And then the Deadly of my Vixen threatens his Contagionoma and helps get me lots of value. So the issue here is that Disc provides a lot of value in the late game, so he's getting a lot of value, and Vixen is getting me a lot of value, but the Slayer on this Born Again is really reducing Vixen's health, so it's hard to keep that up consistently. So I'm trying the best I can to defend my Vixen, because that's my value engine in the face of all the value he's getting. I feel like at this point I'm still doing pretty well, but it's a close match. I use Born in Cruelty again. Get rid of those twins. Use Biting Blade to gain some life. Stay alive. He takes my Lantern Colossus. I think that was probably the deciding turn. That Traitorous Murmur got me. And I try and defend here. But he has Sapo. And this big old thing with Warded is now really getting me. And here I've lost my Vixen, so I don't have a value engine as good as his, but he still has Disc, and he's got a big warded minion, so it's pretty much over. Yeah, led astray, boom, face. So that was a good game, even though I lost. And I think it still showcased a lot of the strengths of this deck and how it can use Born in Cruelty, Shadhavar Beast, all these new tools to work with old cards like Shadhavar Beast and to work with the new path of Coliseum of Strife. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments section, do you prefer these videos where I talk about the games, where I narrate my gameplay, or do you like the ones where I put music over it? My logic so far has kind of been the ones that are more spectacle based, or where I can think of a song to go with the deck, like the Champion of the Contest deck. It was clearly a spectacle, and the Chosen One song fit perfectly with it. But for ones like this, where I'm actually trying to show you some strategy that I have to describe, then I put my voice in it. So which do you prefer? Do you want to hear my voice, or would you rather just cut out all the blabber and just watch it with music? I don't want to alienate people with a music choice that they don't like, but I don't know how interested they are in my commentary. So let me know down in the comments which you prefer.